What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys! Welcome back to Gotta Love Them Movies, your place to talk about the stuff that you love. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. And today is a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Guys, sorry, it's been a few days since I've posted any videos. I've been, as you know, I've been out on the road flying around the world, doing the flight attendant job, and it's been keeping me busy. It's been kicking my butt. I've been waking up early, staying up late, and just sleep deprivation here and there, and saying hello to passengers and all that stuff. So, but anyway, I'm back in New York. I'm back home. I'm back in the studio. And with me today, you guys, you know her, you love her. She's a regular guest on the show. Put your hands together for Ms. Natalie Cass. Woo woo!
What a great introduction. That really ramped me up. Thank you.
Hey, Natalie, if all you need is just like a little, is just a hype man in your life, I'm your guy.
That could be an interesting alarm clock. I think that would be nice. Just hire a hype man to wake you up, whatever time of day it is, 6:30, 5:30.
Natalie Cass, the time is now 6:30 in the morning. It's time to wake up!
I love it. And then like, do, whatever that Space Jam, Jock Jams album song
Jock
was.
Jams.
That, yes.
You guys, if any of you were not alive during the 90s, Jock Jams was okay. So you know, like the albums, like now that's what I call music, and it just continually like goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. That was born out of Jock Jams. Jock Jams was a compilation CD or tape even of all of like the best songs or like hype music that were playing at like sporting events, like basketball games, football games. It was one of the best things ever.
It was dope, as they say. And by the way, comparison, like Jock Jams versus the Now compilation, I had like Jock Jams Volume 3, Volume 4, and Volume 5. And then I think they started Now around that time, like you said, and those were just garbage in comparison to how timeless Jock Jams is. Like, you throw that CD on, and that's your party for like good 2 hours. Your pre-game music, if you will.
It was so good. I have to jump to the comment section really quick. Guys, how the show is going to run today is that we're going to talk about a whole bunch of trailers that just dropped today, yesterday, a few days ago. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of trailers, and then we're going to go to the live comments and take your live comments so that we can create that dialogue, that discussion. But one of the comments just dropped in really quick, and it's very specifically about Jock Jams and everything that we're talking about. Comes from Uma Makesh, and Uma says, "Let's get ready to rumble." Yeah, if you know in Nerd Zone, we're gonna come back and address your comments in like the middle half of the show. But yeah, Uma Makesh. You know what's going on. I mean, that's how every Jock Jams album started, or at least the first one. Let's get ready to rumble. It was,
And then every CD or every album ended with like this mega mix, which was, I think that predated like all of the, late 2010s mega mixes where, YouTube artists would like create like here's the compilation of all the songs that were popular this year. But Jock Jams, they started it. I want to say that they started it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they started it, but man, they put it on the map. They popularized it. Because I feel like we were all doing, that's what a mixtape is. It was the ultimate mixtape. That's what it was. Ultimate mixtape.
Yeah. I want to play some now.
Anyway, guys.
Careful, we're going to get muted. It's too good. It's too accurate.
Oh, too close too late. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
You guys, how today's show is going to run, I already gave a brief rundown really quick. Natalie and I are going to talk about 5 different trailers that came out. I've advertised 3 of them, I think, the Black Widow, Space Jam, and Loki trailers. But we're also talking about the new Cruella trailer that just dropped, I think, like 3 hours ago. It's super fresh. And then the Batman, The Long Halloween animated movie coming out, later this summer, I think, spring, summer. They don't have an official announcement yet on that. Anyway, so we're going to break down the trailers. We're going to talk about them, give our thoughts and opinions. I want to hear from you guys. If you're watching this right now, jump down to the comment section. Tell me what you think about the Cruella trailer, the Batman The Long Halloween trailer, Black Widow trailer, Space Jam trailer, Loki trailer. And then the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions in the live feed and create that dialogue. But if you guys haven't done so already, head over to YouTube. I mean, you're literally watching this on YouTube right now. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button. With the more subscribers we get, the more watch content the channel gets. And with the more watched content the channel gets, I get more opportunity to make this show my full-time job. So I really appreciate that. Additionally, you guys, if you have any comments or questions that don't pop up in the live show today, if there's something on your brain, you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before, but now I want to ask Mike this question. Or Mike and Natalie, as the case may be. Send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com, and we'll make your comment or question, as long as it's family friendly, its own standalone video here on the channel. We'll address it in its own video. Yeah, so appreciate your love and support. And with all that down and out of the way, let's jump in and take our first question. That's not what I was leading up to. You guys, we're talking about the Cruella trailer. It just dropped 3 hours ago. I had the pleasure of watching Natalie watch the trailer. Natalie, this was one of the most enjoyable things because I had seen this trailer like twice before. Like earlier today, I watched it like on repeat, and then I got to listen to the trailer and watch you watch it as you like here on the Skype connection. I loved it first and foremost, but I want to hear from you. Like, what was your reaction to this thing?
Man, I really did love it. Normally, I watch trailers twice to get just like a good feel, but you got me on my first watch, and I think you said it like I smiled the entire way through, and
so
that's kind of how I felt. Like I think I was pleasantly surprised still, and also just like and very interested into what they're going to do with the Cruella character because, you know, I guess it's no secret, I'm not a fan of the Disney live action remakes, but this one just feels different to me. I don't know.
Yeah. It feels totally different. Well, maybe not totally different, but one of the things that I loved a lot about this specific trailer as opposed to the previous one that we got. The last one, it was more of an announcement trailer like, hey, there's a Cruella movie. It's live action. It stars Emma Stone and you know, a whole bunch of other people. And I'm specifically thinking of Emma
Thompson.
Thank you, Emma Thompson. Like
Emma.
so many different Emmas. It's like there's so many different Toms.
Emma's. That's gonna be really hard.
Emmas. Yeah, so like the last announcement trailer was just that. It was like, hey, this movie's coming. This trailer that we got today, just 3 hours ago, tells us way more about the story. It tells us way more about the character. And one of the things that, you know, like many other people that I was concerned about in this movie is this going to do kind of like what Maleficent did and say, ooh, here's this evil villainous character, but she's not as bad as you thought. This trailer really makes it look like she leans into the evilness, and to have Emma Stone go through, or rather Cruella go through the process of becoming an evil character, pitting her against maybe an even more villainous character in Emma Thompson seems appropriate, because I think it's fair to say we as the fans, as the audience, we don't want to see a misunderstood villain, and maybe they're not all that bad after all. We want to see Cruella be evil. Like, do we want to see her murder dogs? No, that's gross. Nobody wants to see that. But we want to see the evilness that is Cruella de Vil. Her name is literally Devil. Cruella Devil. That is her name.
It was her birthright. It's her birthright. Yeah, I agree with you. I do not feel like they're going to take the Maleficent route. Or even if they did, it feels like this story is breaking away from tradition into where there has to be. Again, we've only seen the trailer. We've only seen two. It would be interesting if Disney is breaking away from the traditional norm of having a protagonist that is a hero. I think it would be interesting if this was slightly darker and slightly more attuned to young adults, in the sense that maybe your protagonist in this story is a bad guy, or is at least anti-hero enough. I'm really interested to see how the dogs come to play, because we see like the three Dalmatians that apparently Emma Thompson's character, it would appear that she owns. And I just think I'm curious about that, because it's an interesting little hint without necessarily not necessarily leaning into the fact that she wants to skin these dogs alive. And I'm kind of curious.
It seems more foreshadowing, and especially when you have that kind of villainous character to play against Cruella. It sets up the context of her vindictiveness against Dalmatians. Seems more vindictiveness against Emma Thompson's character than it is against actual dogs. I mean, maybe if Emma Thompson owns these dogs and she's in love with Dalmatians, and Cruella hates everything that is Emma Thompson, well, then the Dalmatians would obviously fall into that, and maybe making her signature coat, Dalmatian coat, is her way of getting to Emma Thompson and just like getting under her skin. Not just getting under her skin, but like really saying like, I hate you so much, I'm going to turn your dogs into coats.
Yeah, I think that too. I also think that we might end up with sort of a twist ending. I really don't want to write this story in my head, but I already am, which means I'm setting myself for false expectations that will never come to pass. But
WandaVision.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if there was sort of a twist where, at the end of said battle between wits and tough ladies, that Emma Stone's character emerges, like Cruella emerges with this Dalmatian coat, and it is inferred that it's Emma Thompson's dogs. But it would be really cool if there was like a cutscene where it's like, it's not the dog. She kept the dog. She just wanted to troll Emma Thompson's character.
I mean, that could be really cool. That could be a really fun way to play it.
Yeah, because I know that the internet is not ready to accept any kind of killing of dogs.
No. Well, I mean, if anyone saw that documentary, was it like a year ago on Netflix? Don't F with cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't.
Cats or dogs.
Don't do it. Anyway, guys, what I want to know is, what were your thoughts of the Cruella trailer? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, moving on to our next trailer of the day. This trailer dropped yesterday, and this is the Batman Long Halloween trailer. And this is, first of all, it's an animated film. So if you were thinking this was going to be another live-action Batman film, no. But caveat is that The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, it's rumored that that movie is loosely based on this story, on the Long Halloween story. If you're not familiar with Batman The Long Halloween, it's a classic story that was... it was written by Jeff Loeb and... I can't even think of the other guy's name. Tim... Oh, man. I'm totally forgetting people's names. Anyway, It's an amazing graphic novel. It's one of the best actual detective stories of Batman. It's almost the definitive Batman detective story. It takes place over 1 year, and each chapter of the story takes place on the next month's holiday. So, we all know Halloween is in October, Thanksgiving is November, Christmas December, New Year's January, Valentine's February, so on and so forth, right? So each chapter of the story, first it takes place on Halloween, and then it takes place on Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and it just chronicles 1 year of Batman's life trying to solve this mystery of who is the holiday killer? Who is the holiday killer? And it's a brilliant story. It's one of the most definitive detective stories of Batman in his life. Natalie, I know you're not all that intimately familiar with the story of The Long Halloween, but you have seen the trailer. So again, I'm going to go to you first and hear, what are your thoughts about this trailer, and what are you looking forward or not looking forward to?
Well, now that you said intimately familiar, I want to talk about the fact that Jensen Ackles is voicing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is voicing. Right. So you guys know I'm a super huge Supernatural freak. I'm surrounded by any one of Supernatural items. What? I've never known this. I've never known this. Anyway, I think it's super exciting for me, kind of as a casual viewer. I know that Jensen Ackles, while doing Supernatural, he was also the voice of Red Hood. So he's not new to this universe in any way. But he's an interesting voice for Batman. I wouldn't have pegged that initially. But yesterday when I watched the trailer, and Ryan also agreed with me, Ryan, my husband, the voice fits. He can do it for sure.
Well.
So
surprisingly well.
I can see that. And it kind of led to other things, like Ryan was kind of lamenting, like, man, Jensen Ackles would be a great Batman live action wide. And it kind of just brought me into a different light. The trailer itself is, there's not a ton being thrown at you because I think it's still very teasery. Yeah. I have I don't know the background on the movie, but I saw that Naya Rivera passed away this. So it makes me feel like it's been in production for a little bit. So what we saw in the trailer felt a little bit more like a motion comic. I don't know, Mike, what did you think?
I love the animation style of it, first and foremost. It definitely feels like Batman the Animated Series, but in maybe a more cinematic version of it. Mm-hmm. It has the character design of Batman the Animated Series, but it has the animation style of maybe something a little bit more fluid, like a more modern, updated, more fluid. It has a little bit more, which is weird to say, has more Art Deco feel to it, because that's all Batman the Animated Series was just this incredible Art Deco feel. I like that I don't know if you noticed the border lines between let's say Batman's cowl and the background. We all know that there's this pencil thin line that does the outline of the character, but they widen the line a little bit to give it a little bit more of a graphic novel feel, which I appreciated. I love the art design. I think it looks really good. And to your point, Natalie, Jensen Ackles, granted, I'm not all that super familiar with his work. I never really watched Supernatural.
What?
When I say I never really watched Supernatural, I mean I've never seen an episode ever.
I just left the chat.
I'm sorry. I never have. I'm sorry. And I understand. Supernatural is literally what brought you and your husband together. That's how you met.
Yes. That's how important it is, for sure. I do agree. I think Jensen would actually be an interesting live action Batman. I'm curious to see how popular this animated version would be. And a little thought popped into my brain. There is a way for him to be live action Batman, because he's still very close and affiliated with the CW, who right now is holding the whole Warner Brothers versions of DC comic characters in their own little TV verse, like the Flash.
Man, that would be cool.
And they just had, because I don't think there's a Batman yet. They did do Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they had different actors who have played different Batman,
Right.
especially including oh my God, help me, Mike. Batman the Animated Series, the best
Oh,
Batman.
why is your brain fart now coming over to my brain fart?
I just
Um,
man, had more coffee today for
uh,
sure. Okay, in the comments, somebody help us out
uh,
because we're obviously flailing. But he played a Batman version in that series, and I feel like Jensen Ackles could do the same. Like, I'm excited about the potential.
wow, why can't I
But
think
as
of it?
far as the
This is killing. I'm so
yeah,
sorry. This is killing me.
well, I haven't actually tried to think about it because I'm still just talking mindlessly. And obviously, I can't do two things at once. But you know what also is really exciting because to touch on the animation portion just a little bit, you mentioned how the style is different. And I feel like we're living in a post Into the Spider-Verse universe right now where Sony developed this new technology to bring to life a comic story in a different way that is just aesthetically phenomenal, and I feel like it's game changing. So I'm curious to see how like Warner Media and the art production team behind this movie and future animated movies like raise the bar, because we all know like studios should know that we would be down for an animated version of a story with a theatrical release. The time it took to make Spider Into the Spider-Verse was like I think they spent an entire week on a frame. It was like on like 1 second of film, so multiple frames. It took a lot of effort and a lot of budget, but I would be down to see something like this in the future. And what does your co-host think, Mike? We've just switched over.
Minerva is purring quite loudly. So I think she's very excited. Kevin Conroy. Sorry, Kevin Conroy. Batman.
Oh my
There you go.
God, thank you.
Yeah, no,
Kevin
the
Conroy.
one critique that I have about this trailer is that no, Minerva, you're not getting on the desk. Okay. The one critique that I have about this trailer is it doesn't do an incredible job at necessarily telling you what the story of the movie is going to be. And we know that the movie's being told in two parts, right? There's part one and part two. It's also being given. Part one is PG-13. Part two is R. I don't know how. Like just make it all R. Just like make it all congruent, right? But being that the graphic novel is told in a 1 year. It's told over the course of a year, right? Are they going to do the same style of storytelling? Which, I mean, I assume they would, because DC Animation Studios, for the most part, stays pretty faithful, pretty true to the comic adaptations. But I don't know, like that, it seems like a big undertaking. But if it's told in two parts, this could be. I still say that Batman. Oh shoot, the Dark Knight, Batman Returns, Rises. What am I thinking of? The Dark Knight Returns.
Return.
You guys, my brain is
Return.
all sorts of fried today. All sorts of fried today. Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, that graphic novel series turned into the animated movie, I still say is the best animated movie DC and Warner Brothers has put out. But The Long Halloween, I think, has a pretty good chance. Natalie, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'm excited. I think I don't normally catch myself rushing towards the DC animated films, but more so than just Jensen Ackles, I think I will be here for this one.
All
I
right.
think I'm signed up.
All right, guys, big question for you is what did you think of Batman The Long Halloween trailer that just debuted yesterday? Are you looking forward to it? Did it not give you enough information? Based on the graphic novel itself, I would have liked to have seen some of the more bigger moments pop out in this trailer. But, I mean, maybe it's just an announcement trailer. Maybe we're going to get more trailers down the line. What are your thoughts? Jump on down in the comment section below and let us know. Natalie, you just said that you were not rushing or rather, you will be rushing to go see Batman. But speaking of all things Russian, see the segue that I just created there? Black Widow! We've got a new trailer. We were not anticipating a new trailer because we kind of thought that this movie was going to be coming out next month. We kind of figured that, well, it was supposed to come out a year ago, first and foremost. And then, with all the delays and blah, 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 we know it's coming out in theaters and on Disney Plus Premiere Access in June. Which, okay, all right, fine. They're going to push it back another month. All right, fine, whatever. But this trailer, the trailers for Black Widow, I have been so behind. I am all in. I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, like, yeah, Black Widow's a really cool character and all, but do we need I don't know. Do we want a standalone Black Widow movie? And as soon as I saw the first trailer, I was like, yep, I'm all in. This looks phenomenal. And the trailers just keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And this trailer is no exception. This delves into more of Natasha Romanoff's background, her family. That's the interesting stuff. That's what makes Marvel so interesting, you guys, is that they don't just tell great superhero stories of, oh, here's this villain, and oh, it's a really clever twist on this villain, and blah, 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 whatever, and now the hero must overcome, yada, 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 right? Yes, Taskmaster looks awesome, but we also get introduced to maybe a possible force behind Taskmaster, played by Ray Winston. So that's kind of interesting. His first debut in a Black Widow trailer. We get close-up looks at Black Widow's childhood, where she has the blue hair. I think that's interesting. I think that speaks volumes to why her hair keeps changing from film to film to film throughout the entire franchise. We get really good looks at, Florence Pugh. We get great looks at David Harbour. Rachel Weisz, or Rachel Weisz, however you choose to pronounce it, and their familial connection and dynamic. This just, it looks phenomenal. It looks fantastic. And yes, each trailer gets me more and more and more excited for this Black Widow movie. And Natalie, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Whereas I wanted the feelings that this trailer gives me, those are the feelings that I wanted from Captain Marvel. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say that strong female performances, especially strong female superheroes, we are in dire need of. I mean, we've got, in terms of standalone titles, maybe not characters, but standalone movie titles, we have Wonder Woman, we have now Black Widow, we have Captain Marvel, and maybe you can make an argument for WandaVision, for Wanda Maximoff. This just we need more. Representation matters, but also these are the feelings that I wanted from Captain Marvel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that is something that I was thinking about. It hit me in the middle of this trailer. Yes, first of all, I will say I loved it. I loved it. And I'm one of those people that gets irritated every time Marvel releases a trailer for a movie that's coming out, because I'm like, I don't want to see more of it. I don't this movie. Don't give it all away in the trailers. And then I had that thought when I was watching this trailer, and I was like, this is not showing me exactly what I was curious about. Are they going to treat the story of Black Widow as just as important as the action of Black Widow? So, I mean, the problem with, not to harp too hard on Captain Marvel, but you made a really excellent point. If you look at the trailer for Captain Marvel and you look at this recent trailer for Black Widow, what they tried to kind of push was Captain Marvel being powerful. Here is a powerful hero, right? What they're pushing here with Black Widow is, here is a family drama. And here is a set of instances with a family dynamic, and it just so happens to be a superhero
Yeah.
movie. And I love that because I feel like that's powerful storytelling. That's kind of where superhero movies need to evolve to, is because no, it's not just, oh, look at this power, like, I can throw a tank. It's more like I loved the scene. I loved as much these sound bites with Rachel Weisz's character arguing with Scarlett Johansson's character and, her sister character. Like I didn't have a choice. There was nothing I can do. And that is a very, maternal family argument right there. And then later on, there's that wonderful scene where Black Widow tells her sister, like, put your seatbelt on. And she's like, you're such a mom. And that is such a sibling sisterly thing to do. So I'm 100% ready for an action that isn't just about, oh, it's a woman. It is an actual, like, vulnerable story that happens to be a superhero movie.
Well, that describes so succinctly the difference between Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. You have a strong character who's vulnerable, and you get into the minutia of what it's like for this person to go on this journey, and then you go to Wonder Woman 1984, and it's just a strong character saving the day. Essentially, yeah. I mean, you break it down. There's more to it, but it was less personal struggle. It was less interesting. And while, yes, an argument could be made for Captain Marvel saying that, like, well, she didn't know who she was. Like, I keep going back to the point of, like, how do you know who your character is when they don't even know who they are? How can you go through this personal struggle and make, like, this incredible story out of something that there's no substance established for? We have no jumping off point. And, we've had how many, almost 10 years now with Black Widow. When did Iron Man 2 come out?
2010.
2010?
2010, yeah.
So there you go. We have 11 years with this character worth of storytelling. We know who she is. She knows who she is. And then we can just plug her into, like, a James Bond, Mission Impossible kind of scenario, spy, thriller, whatever. With this family dynamic, everything screams to me, yes, awesome, I'm in, shut up and take my money.
This is what we signed up for. And also to the point about character development and story arcs, Captain Marvel not knowing who she was and then knowing who she was pretty much the exact same character. At the beginning of the movie, she was a tough, snarky badass. And at the end of the movie, she was a tough, snarky badass that knew she was a fighter pilot. So, like, there's no difference. So, I'm so excited to see this other side of Scarlett Johansson's character. I think in the last few years, it's become more evident that she is a phenomenal actress, and she has not been well used. I mean, if you guys saw Jojo Rabbit, she was incredible. And she has not been well used by Marvel, and I'm ready.
There is an ant crawling across my computer right now.
You guys, is that your other guest on the show?
You guys, Ant-Man just showed up.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on, let me see if I can.
There's the cameo
appearance. Come on, mister. Come here. I don't know what your gender is, but...
Mike, I think that from now on, you ought to just do this show as an ASMR thing with Minerva purring her reviews and the ant also crawling on the microphone with his reviews. And that's going to be the show. All of it.
How did an ant show up on my desk? This is crazy. Anyway, I'm sorry. Like, I'm so distracted by this ant right now. We need to move on with the show. Anyway, what were your thoughts of Ant-Man showing up on my desk? Also, what...
What a twist!
What a twist! I wanted to show it to you guys, but no, seriously, what were your thoughts of the new Black Widow trailer? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know. All right, guys. Our next movie, we have two more movie trailers to talk about. And this page won't load. There we go. You guys, Space Jam: A New Legacy. I let me preface this by saying I liked the original Space Jam. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was creative. I thought it was cool. But I've never been like a huge diehard fan of Space Jam. It's fun. Like I said, it's interesting. It's creative. It's clever. This trailer, I mean, look, and again, if I'm truly being honest, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, I am all in on Michael Jordan. Again, I grew up in the 90s.
Ryan agrees with you. Yes, Ryan would totally agree with you, as he hails from Chicago, and that is his team for life.
Man, like, if you haven't already done so, like, this has nothing to do with the Space Jam trailer, but watch the documentary series on Netflix about, like, the Chicago Bulls.
The Last Dance.
Thank you, The Last Dance.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's so good. You don't even have to be... I'm not a sports fan. I talk about movies. I don't care about sports. I really don't. I even used to work for the Philadelphia Phillies for 2 seasons. I don't care about sports. But that documentary... Did you not know that?
I did not know that.
I was like an on the field crowd entertainer, kind of a hype man, essentially.
Because they need some entertainment.
They do.
Those fans.
Anyway, guys, so the trailer for Space Jam: A New Legacy just dropped over the weekend, and I'm not gonna lie, this looks awesome. It looks awesome. You can already tell that, like, from the first 10-15 seconds of the trailer, it sets up a really good story with heart. LeBron James wants his son to become the next big, huge basketball star. His son doesn't care that much. I mean, yeah, he may be talented at basketball, but he wants to do other things with his life. But his father won't hear of it, and you are gonna become a basketball star, kid. And then, of course, like, he's gonna go into cartoon land, and they're gonna have this big, huge basketball tournament, blah blah blah, whatever. You already know at the end of the movie, it's gonna end with LeBron James coming around to the idea of, like, oh wow, I was wrong this whole time. You, son, can do anything you want. You can do anything you put your mind to. It doesn't even have to be basketball. You want to be an artist? Great. You want to be a car mechanic? Great. You want to be a school teacher? Great. You live your path. Whatever it is, LeBron James, LeBron James is going to come around to the idea of his son doing whatever it is that he wants. But LeBron James needs to go through his journey first, which is this huge basketball tournament, not against the Monstars, but against, not the Mod Squad, the Goon Squad.
Goon Squad.
Going up against the Goon Squad. I love all of the cameos from, like, he's making a list of, we need to put a team together, and of course he's listing, like, every single Warner Brothers property that they own an IP for. Superman, King Kong, Gandalf. Who else pops up in there? We obviously, King Kong has, like, a really great cameo. Game of Thrones, like, as he's, like, falling through like this time and space continuum thing, you see, like, he's falling past Westeros and has the Game of Thrones logo that goes by. I thought that was really fun and cool. This movie is going to be jam packed full of Easter eggs. You're not even going to miss Pepe Le Pew. There's so much to look at, right? There's so much to look at. Natalie, what are your thoughts?
So I had very low expectations for this, to be honest with you. And when I saw the trailer, I was surprised that I actually got excited about it. I didn't know that they were going to go a very Ready Player One route with this, where they
Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Which is obviously, as everyone knows, is also another Warner property. But when I saw the Iron Giant, that was the fourth player, by the way, or the second one.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. And then you have all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. You have the Flintstones. You have Yogi Bear.
Magilla Gorilla? I don't know how Magilla Gorilla got a cameo in this movie, but he's there.
Supposedly, Pennywise is in there. I didn't see it, but Pennywise is in the background.
So
and I guess we have to talk about this. We have to talk about the controversy that the characters that look like they're from A Clockwork Orange are in the background of the crowd. And people are like, wait a second, you're gonna take Pepe Le Pew out of here. But you literally have it looks like 4 or 5 characters from A Clockwork Orange, like with the black bowler hats, the white suits. It's really unsettling, and I'm just trying
I'm
to
gonna have
figure
to go
out,
back
like,
and watch this
Warner,
now.
who are you going to replace there? Because there's no way you were going to get away with that. I mean, I will make an argument for Game of Thrones. It's not like it's featured heavily, but like honestly, when you think about the content of A Clockwork Orange, having any of the characters in there is kind of weird, kind of double
That's
standardy.
so. I never. No, I didn't see that. I hadn't heard that. Now I'm gonna have to go back through frame by frame and look at this thing because, like, again, there are so many cameos that pop up in this. So many
Yeah,
references.
there's a Jack Nicholson Joker is in there, which I thought was interesting. It looked like there was somebody from Thundercats. I cannot. I actually did watch this frame by frame, and I appreciated that I did because what I missed, either right before or right after we see the planet of Westeros flying by, he flies past a planet with a green city, and it's Oz.
Oh, interesting.
There's it's the Emerald City, and you can see a poppy field behind it. And what was really cool is he's still flying, and then it turns into the sepia tone tornado. So he's in the tornado of Kansas, kind of on the
Oh,
other, like the backside of the planet. There's a lot of I'm excited, I think, for the little nuances in what they're
yeah.
doing. And I think it's a smart plan. I haven't seen Space Jam all the way through, and I'm not kidding, 20 years. But I did watch it. This trailer made me want to watch it.
Agreed.
I want to
Well,
watch
this
it
is
again.
also a huge passion project for LeBron James. He's been working on this for how long now? Like, not quite 10 years, but maybe close to somewhere between 5 and 7 years. He's been working on this for a very, very long time. And, like, obviously the Looney Tunes are beloved, probably more in pop culture than actual comedy. If you look at the Tom and Jerry movie, the comedy didn't hold up in that. Not that it was bad. Oh, sorry. It was bad comedy, but not that it was offensive comedy. It's not offensive, and I think that's where Looney Tunes gets. Same thing with the Muppets. They get to be borderline just enough that it becomes interesting, and you get more of a commentary out of a joke as opposed to just, hey, let's do a fart joke and whatever. The moment where Daffy Duck says, shoot the ball, and then Yosemite Sam pulls out his guns and goes, yakka, and then Daffy Duck's mouth is off to the side. Like, that style of, I guess you can call it violence, is so cartoon.
Slapstick.
Yes, it's slapstick and it's cartoonish just enough that, like, it, you get to have a real conversation, and it's actually funny enough, and it's good humor. Like, it's actually good humor. That's the
Yeah,
kind of stuff that I'm looking
and it's
forward to.
refreshing. It was refreshing. That moment, that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, he actually shot the ball. Like, and with everything, all of the controversy in the world right now, over then 20 years ago when it comes to gun violence, it was refreshing that we could have that gag. Like,
It's
I'm not a part.
It's refreshing that we can have gun violence humor again.
Well, yeah, and I am not on the horn. I am not playing the horn of like, ugh, everybody's too sensitive nowadays. I think that there are certain things that deserve to be retired, and it's fine. And your characters, maybe they don't have a place in modern film, which is totally fine. Comedy itself changes. That's the whole point of comedy. Something's not funny 20 years later once you've heard it once. But I love that you could just touch on the nostalgia of it,
Yeah.
and just enough to still wrap it in and make it feel humorous.
I agree. Oh, man, I agree. Big question for you guys is, what did you think of Space Jam: A New Legacy trailer? Natalie and I are in love with this thing. Like, I'm probably going to go see this on opening night.
Me too.
I can't wait for it. This looks so good, so fun, so interesting, bright and vibrant. And it's like, this seems like the kind of movie that we need right now. We've been needing right now. Like, the world it's kind of a dark place right now, and we just need something light and fresh and fun and silly and uplifting to go to, and like something big and bombastic. And this film is big
And silly.
bombastic and silly. Yeah. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts? Jump on down in the comment section below and let's talk about it. All right.
I do want to say,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will, one final thought. LeBron, I love you for making this. I love your effort, but you need some acting classes, man.
So did Michael Jordan. So did Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. Mm-hmm. Hardcore. He is best basketball player to ever live, Michael Jordan, and I will die on this hill. I mean, LeBron James is he's still in his career. It's possible he could eclipse Michael Jordan at some point. I'm sorry, Michael Jordan, best basketball player ever. An actor, he is not. Look at what he did in his McDonald's commercials. They were all cringeworthy, and that was like a 30-second soundbite. No. Anyway, guys, yeah. So let's move on to let's talk about our last trailer of the day, and then we're gonna get to your live questions in comments about all the stuff that we're talking about today, and that is probably my favorite of we've spoken so highly about all the trailers that we've talked about today. This one knocked it out of the park for me, and that's the Loki trailer. This is Loki trailer 2. We had, again, the announcement trailer a few weeks ago, if not like a month and a half ago, something like that. It was good. It was fine. It was all right. I liked it. I liked what I saw. I thought it gave like a really interesting feel to it. All that kind of cryptic, like the tick-tock and, the camera kind of like moving as the clock is ticking kind of thing. Obviously, it deals with time and stuff like that. This trailer gave us an actual sense as to what the story was going to be, the importance of Loki in this story. And, I've always, I mean, it's been said that the MCU is, it's the Marvel fake death universe or whatever. People die and then they come back to life, and Loki, no greater example than Loki. In fact, he was supposed to die at the end of the first Thor movie, but because audiences reacted to him so well, they just kind of figured out a way to bring Loki back and just be like, oh yeah, no, he didn't die when he fell off the Rainbow Bridge. Pardon me. No, he didn't die. And then everybody loved him and everything was fun and fantastic, right? And then now we have this Loki series. I'm not 110% on board with Loki. Like, I love Tom Hiddleston. I love his portrayal of Loki. Loki is a magnificent, I was going to say marvelous. Haha. He's a magnificent character in the MCU. And of course he's beloved. Like, he's magnificent on screen. He's magical. He's electric to watch, right? He's engaging. I like watching him. But I'm also kind of like, okay, like what other characters do we have in the MCU? But this trailer just looks phenomenal. I can't wait. I love the weird dark time conspiracy aspect to it. The time variant authority. I love Owen Wilson's doop-a-doop-a-doo kind of character playing against. Like he seems a little doofy, but you can also tell that he knows more than Loki does. Loki thinks he knows everything. And whenever you have that like an argument with somebody else and they think that they know more than you do, and then your response is, okay, I'm not. It's not even worth fighting with you or arguing with you. It's okay if you think you're right. Okay, I'll let you be right. I know I'm right, but okay. I love that attitude from Owen Wilson. This trailer just gets me so ridiculously excited. Like, I was excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now that we're kind of starting to watch it, I like it. I'm not wowed by it in the same way that I was wowed by WandaVision. WandaVision, I suckled on. Like, it was just so.
That's a sight. Thank you for that.
I suckled on the teat that is WandaVision.
Of WandaVision, yes. It's Kevin Feige. By the way, yes. I should let you know now. So this Loki trailer, I agree. I'm very excited about it. And kind of to harken back on what you said, my favorite Loki is Ragnarok Loki. That is my favorite version of Loki that there ever was. And what I hope this variant solves for us is the strange disconnect between Avengers Loki and what we eventually get in Ragnarok Loki. So it
Mm.
feels like what we might end up having, we get a little bit more of the Ragnarok style of Loki in the sense that, there's well, you've literally stabbed everyone in the back 50 times. And, well, I'd never do it
I'll never do it
again. Like
again. Yeah.
that was a great Ragnarok Loki. And also I felt like we were dealing a little bit with the Avengers very threatening, menacing, like I'm the biggest guy in the room and you are gonna die. So there was a little bit of that, and I think that the big question mark is trying to reconcile, and sure, maybe this is just among MCU fans that are big fans of Loki. Maybe it's just among fan fiction writers. I don't know. It's trying to reconcile why Loki seems one way and the character seems to be very, very different over the span. And I know that the Dark World happens in between there, and there's a little bit of character development when his mother dies, and that should have an impact on him. But it honestly does feel like a very different character. Um, so I would like a little more explanation behind that, other than just like, well, Waititi is a genius storyteller, and he figured out the best way to tell this story. I also really love Owen Wilson. I was a big Owen Wilson fan back in the whole frat pack days
Mm.
where, Wedding Crashers, and
Starsky and
I'm really
Hutch.
excited. Oh, yes, yes. Or Shanghai. I love Shanghai Noon. I really did. Shanghai Nights, I thought was a nice little, as silly as it was, I loved those movies. And what I find refreshing is because I feel like there's that presentation of Owen Wilson that, he's like, oh, I'm the cool guy. But yeah, the character in Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights is like a little bit, he's the silly man to Jackie Chan's straight man.
Yeah.
He's not as competent. And what I love is that they're going to play with that, I think, in this series where, like you said, he is competent, he is super smart, but he's being presented a like, yeah, cool guy. I really love it. I love it. I love it. Also, I don't know if this is true, and, YouTube comments let me know. Was that the Atlanta Convention Center featured so prominently as the TVA location? I think
Hmm.
it was the Atlanta Convention Center. Someone let me know.
I never would have thought of that. I've never been to the Atlanta Convention Center, but now you sparked my interest.
Well, there's some Dragon Con fans, I'm sure, that will have watched this show that will recognize the Atlanta Convention Center. Maybe. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Okay, well, that brings up an interesting point. Being that San Diego Comic Con is so massive, this has nothing to do with the Loki trailer, guys. But do you think like the day might ever come that like Marvel or DC would film something with the iconic exterior that is the the San Diego Convention Center, as kind of like a little Easter egg for the fans to maybe like, oh, we landed on an alien planet, and this is what buildings on this alien planet look like. Because the San Diego Convention Center has a very kind of sci-fi look to it, and it's a very specific design.
Yeah, that is an interesting thought. I'm thinking more like now I've got my producer director brain on. I know that Atlanta and Georgia, they have quite the film tax credit
Yeah, yeah.
plan, which is why Atlanta is such a big Hollywood centric center. Although in San Diego, fun fact, there is no film fee. There's no permit fee to film. You just need permission. So I don't know. That's kind of cool and clever, and I'd be interested
That'd
in
be kind of
seeing
fun.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, like getting back to the Loki trailer, I again like we could pull this apart and tear it apart and analyze it 6 ways to Sunday. I like long and the short of it. This trailer got me way more excited. First of all, than the last trailer, but also just overall. I think I'm more excited to see Loki, the television show, than I am to see Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or maybe even WandaVision. And I adored If for nothing else, this Loki show, I think, if it plays out the way that the trailer kind of makes us think it will, there's going to be so much intrigue. We're going to have all these questions to say, what is happening? Like what we did in WandaVision. What is happening? What is going on? Where is the story going? Whereas in Falcon and Winter Soldier, we kind of feel the progression from episode to episode. It's just one big long movie. It's not really ending on any kind of cliffhanger of like, oh, what's going to happen next? Or maybe not necessarily what's happening next, but what is happening in the grand scheme of things. And I think we're going to get a lot of those kinds of questions pop up in the Loki series, and we're just going to end up tearing this thing apart. Natalie, what do you think?
I think it'll be pretty consequential to, I mean, we keep feeling like everything is going to be consequential to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I would not be surprised if this series ties into that, and the potential for maybe this variant Loki crossing over into the dimension of the MCU that we are currently following.
Man, the MCU is just getting so big right now, and this just adds another. I mean, we haven't even talked about like the hooded, cloaked figure that pops up in the trailer that's kind of like killing people. They don't ever like come out and address it, but we have like these cutscenes in the trailer of this hooded entity, this being. I mean, it's very possible that this could be the introduction to Kang the Conqueror. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's somebody completely different. But maybe this is the introduction to Kang the Conqueror, and this is how. If you know anything about Kang the Conqueror, he's a time traveler, and he's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, played by Jonathan Majors. Yeah, I don't know. Like, who knows? Who knows where this is going? But with the multiverse and with time, there is so much at play here. Who knows how this is going to shake down? But what?
Maybe he's going to Toontown. Have you thought about that?
If they get a permit from Warner Brothers,
yeah, maybe.
I mean, they could definitely do some fun Hanna-Barbera crap. Maybe we could get like the whole cast from Clockwork Orange to pop up in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. You know, honestly, the tone of Loki, like literally the tone, the color scheme is very similar to me. So I'm like, oh, yeah. That checks out.
Anyway, guys, I want to hear what your thoughts about the Loki trailer are and were. Jump on down to the comment section below and let's have a conversation about it. And speaking of the comment section below, you guys, you have been firing in. I'm so, like, first of all, thank you so much. And thanks for bearing with us. We're an hour deep into the show at this point. Let's jump over to Natalie. How are you doing on time?
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, that being said, let's jump in and take your live questions.
It's alive! It's alive!
All right, you guys, let's jump in and take your live questions now. A lot of you have been firing in comments and questions all show long, so let's jump over here and start taking them. Nerd Zone was the first one that says, I'm back and surprised you ain't going to talk about the Bad Batch. Oh, Nerd Zone, you told me about this last week. Okay. First of all, my apologies. I said I was going to talk about it this week, today. Maybe I'll try to make it a standalone video. Maybe while Natalie is on the horn at some point today, we can maybe try to rope her doing it later. But yes, my apologies. I said I was going to do it this week. I totally forgot. I've been flying for the past 5 days or 6 days ever since the last show. The flight attendant job, right? And I've just been pushed and pulled in so many different directions. I totally forgot about this. Full disclosure, I totally forgot about it. So yes, later today I will watch the trailer. I will make its own standalone video. So keep an eye out for that, Nerd Zone. My apologies, but yes, it's coming. Uma Makesh, let's get ready to rumble. Jock Jams 1998. Oh, that was the best. Nerd Zone. Also, Space Jam 2 gives me Coming to America vibes. It's fun watching it, but after watching it, it felt mediocre. Interesting. Natalie, did you feel any mediocre vibes after watching Space Jam 2 trailer?
My dog just fell. I think Xander was insulted. My dog literally just fell off of the ottoman.
How
that he
dare you
lays
say
on.
that about Space Jam? Thunk.
He passed out from like, I can't believe someone would say that. Mediocre aside from LeBron James's acting, no, not really. Not really. And I gotta say, I haven't seen Coming to America 2 yet. I watched Coming to America last week, and that's still on my list. But no, I didn't quite get that. But if anything, I was more excited, like I said, after watching the trailer than I was before.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there on that one. Nerd Zone says, I'm also surprised you ain't talking about the Chucky show or Ghostbusters 3. Here again, Nerd Zone. This just all goes back to me having to fly this last week, and I have not had a chance to get caught up. In fact, Natalie and I had this conversation last night that we're just so behind on like pop culture stuff right now. You are working hard, you've got some interesting projects coming up in the near future. I was helping you do like test runs for stuff, last night and then again today. Yeah, we've got our pokers in many different fires right now. So it's not to say that we haven't forgotten about this stuff. We're just behind.
But you know what? When we get our pokers out of the fire, it's gonna be hot.
Oh! Pew, 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 pew. Wah, 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 wah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Get ready for puns.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's the whole reason why. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, this stuff is coming. It's happening. Nerdzone says, I just want to mention this for any gamers out there like myself who love PlayStation. Nobody's talking about the Uncharted movie and the Last of Us series. There's a few people out there talking about it. I'm not a gamer. I love the culture that is gaming. I do. I just hate playing video games. It is not my preferred method of storytelling. Yeah, it's not my preferred method of storytelling, but also I get so personally invested, in the characters and the games and the gameplay. And when I do play video games, I get so frustrated because I want to continue on. I want to move to the next level. I want to move to the next chapter. I don't want to die and then have to go back and and I understand not all video games are this way. Like there's save points, but you understand kind of like the general idea for me. I get very, very frustrated playing video games, and I get angry. Not at the game itself, but I just get tired of it. My frustration is born out of the tiredness that is video games. Natalie, I don't know. Have we talked about this? Are you much of a gamer?
So I was a casual gamer back in the day, if you will. And now I'm sort of a casual gamer in the sense that I get excited. I think about stories. I've been very excited about The Last of Us, and I actually do own Uncharted 4. I'm just not very good at them is the thing. And I think we were actually kind of sidebarring talking about Uncharted and Tom Holland's involvement in it. And I think topic for a future video. So
Agreed.
Nerd Zone, you're coming with these. You're now co-producer. Thank you.
You're hitting us with all the best stuff. Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland, like set photos have come out with him like dressed up as Nathan Drake, and it's been very positive, been very favorable. Some other feedback from the set has come back saying that it's going to have some strong Indiana Jones vibes, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, but this is something that we need to investigate a little bit more. And yeah, to Natalie's point, let's make it its own standalone video. Moving on. Let's see, where were we? Ghostbusters 3, Last of Us. Yeah, and you know, the same thing with Last of Us as well. Nerd Zone says, did I scroll too far up? Sorry. There we go. Sorry guys, I'm losing my place here. Uncharted. There we go. Uncharted has finished filming, and The Last of Us in post-production with Tom Holland as the treasure hunter, Nathan Drake, for Uncharted. I'm hoping for an Uncharted trailer soon. Well, it depends on how long it's been since they wrapped filming. Because when they initially begin the post-production process, it's going to be a couple of months after they wrap before they put out a trailer. It also heavily depends on when the movie is going to be released, because you don't want, and I understand some movies have done this, Star Wars, they drop their first trailer a year before the movie's set to come out, which I'm not in favor of, because I mean, yeah, we're all like, ooh, I want to see the first trailer. I want to have the first look, but it kills your momentum for the movie when it's a year out. Like, you should drop it at 4 months. Give us a 4 month announcement trailer, and then a 3 month first trailer, a second month second trailer. Yeah. I mean,
healthy. It's just binging trailers at that point. I will say, I was thinking this earlier, it's gonna take a really good trailer for me to get on board with Tom Holland and Nathan Drake and the Uncharted movie, for multiple reasons. I love Tom Holland like he was one of my kids, even though that would be very impossible. But I love Tom Holland. I really do.
Like he's one of your dogs.
Exactly. Tom Holland, my pet. My next dog is going to be named Tom Holland. So I just think, I mean, he's precious. He's a really good actor, though. I saw, what was that movie he did for Netflix, The Devil All the Time?
Oh, yeah.
I think he's got some range on it. I haven't seen Cherry. I'm excited to see that at some point. But so far, I feel like Hollywood is over Tom Hollandizing the movie landscape. I don't think that we needed Tom Holland to be Nathan Drake. It felt like a more of a financial decision. Like, yes, let's start this series that has potential to go on for 4 or 5 movies and choose a young actor on purpose. Right. I don't know. Tom Holland doesn't have to be in everything. But again, I hold my tongue. There's no such thing as bad ideas. There's just bad execution. I'm going to regret saying that, but I can't wait for the trailer.
I think we're all looking forward to the trailers for these. Video game movies have notoriously had this curse attached to them. There have been decent video game movie adaptations come out over the past few years. Super Mario Brothers was an excellent movie. That was an excellent adaptation of a video game. And I'm waiting for Natalie to pick up on my sarcasm and make fun of me for it.
I was like, which version did you watch? I was like, how long have I been away from movie news? Holy crap.
It's so bad. It was so bad. But, I think it's fair to say that Sonic the Hedgehog was decent. I actually really liked... Oh, go ahead.
I'm excited about the Resident Evil reboot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Resident Evil films, the original, the first one, was really good. It was pretty good.
I think it was decent. So with Resident Evil, and I think even more so with Silent Hill, those 2 games had a story behind them already. And I felt like Hollywood went out of the way to change the story, but borrow certain aspects of it and just like really watering it down. Hollywood, sometimes I just want to know how the game ends. Like, I just want to know the game story. Yeah. Like, the game story is good enough. You don't need to be extra and add all this other crap.
Well, that was one of my huge complaints against The Grinch starring Jim Carrey. Is you had a really strong story, but then you added this whole preamble and this whole postamble, and it just didn't, like, you're adding stuff that doesn't belong there, and you're changing the context of the story itself. I didn't appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I think we can all say that we're looking forward to these movies and trailers and hopefully that they're going to be better than, previous stuff. Uma Makesh says, I believe Cruella follows the Joker arc. like the Joker movie, I assume you're referring to. The visuals, at least from the trailer, look similar. Both Emma Stone and Emma Thompson were dope in this, though. But I still feel. You said fell. I think you mean feel like a female Joker. I could like a Disney version of like a Joker movie. That's an interesting comparison. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I think your logic is sound. I think that logic tracks. Having just kind of a person who is unappreciated. Maybe I don't think she's going to. They're probably not going to play with the mental instability that was Arthur Fleck in this film, but I can definitely see how messing and being unappreciative of someone who just wants that attention, and this is the only way that they know how to go about getting it, or not attention, but validation, because validation is huge.
Yeah, and I also, one thing about the Cruella trailer, part of my smile, I realized, had to do with, I've seen 2 trailers today between Black Widow and Cruella where you have these females that have really good juicy parts. Like, I want to see how Cruella either kicks ass or whatever it might be, or something more family friendly than that.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you'll have to bridge the gap of that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want someone kind of strong and menacing and devious to stay faithful to the character, but also to keep things interesting and moving and lively, if you will. And I think the Joker comparison is fair because it does kind of take us down this road, this journey. I don't think we're going to have that tragic ending. I think she is going to have her triumphant moment at the end, but triumphant in the face of evil, which will potentially set up either a sequel or lead into the story of 101 Dalmatians as we currently know it. That's, I don't know.
Agree.
That's my thoughts. Uma Makesh says, Tim Sale, I think, yes, thank you. We're talking about The Long Halloween. Who wrote the story of Long Halloween? It was Jeff Loeb, and it was Tim Sale. It was Tim Sale's name that I was forgetting. But yes, you are correct. I've never been a massive fan of the art stylings of Tim Sale. He did, both Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale worked on one of my favorite Spider-Man stories called Spider-Man Blue. If you haven't read Spider-Man Blue, it's good. It's really good. It's Peter Parker going off on his adventures, blah, blah, blah. But the whole narrative is that he's talking to someone, and it's not Mary Jane. And you're like, who is he talking to? Like, he's very specifically talking to a certain person. And at the end of the story, you come to find out that after this long, tragic story where he goes through these adventures and learns all this stuff and grows and becomes a better, more aware human being, is that he's writing a story, or he's essentially writing a letter to Gwen Stacy, who has already died. And he's had to move on with his life, but she will always, for Peter Parker, be the love of his life, even though he's married to and that's such a powerful message. He's married to Mary Jane Watson, but he's still in love with Gwen Stacy, who's now dead. And I think that's something that a lot of people can kind of connect with and understand and jump on board with, not to mention the Greek tragedy nature that is a story like that. Anyway, that's one of my favorite Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, not Tim Story. Very, very different. Tim Sale. Natalie, are you familiar at all with the storytellings of Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale?
Jeff Loeb, not outside of his work with Smallville, but yeah, I love it when a good story arc unfolds in film or animation in this case, the way it was intended to. My favorite, I think, story that I've ever read is definitely Watchmen. I'm not going to say that the movie unfolded exactly with the same intention. Yeah. I mean, it's not an accurate, it's not a good substitution for the comic, I will say. There's so much more emotion and just drama that...
Well, that's true for almost all book to movie adaptations, right?
Yeah. I would agree with that, but I'm excited.
Same here. Same here. Let's jump in. Nerd Zone says, in the original comic, I love Tim Sale's 1930s detective story type of illustrations with gothic colors. Yeah, and, you clarify. I mean when I mean comic, I mean the Long Halloween. Yeah. Yeah, the Long Halloween yes, you hit the nail on the head. It's gothic. It has that kind of like 1930s storytelling, but also has a little bit of Art Deco style mixed in with it. It's a brilliant story. It's fantastic. There's so many other adjectives that I could think of to describe it. Natalie, go read it. It's wonderful.
I will. And now I'm sad that I haven't read Spider-Man Blue because I have heard of that. I just didn't realize that was the story.
Well, I ruined the ending for you. Sorry. But now you can go in and be like, oh, I understand. Like, instead of having that, like, haha.
All right, Wikipedia.
Yeah, you'll read it with a different appreciation, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, sorry about that. Let's go in. Where are we at here? What I mean, comic, I mean Long Halloween. Nerd Zone says, all the CW DC shows. Oh, I missed it. I moved past it. Sorry. This scrolling feature does not work as well as it should. Oh my gosh, you guys, I totally dropped the ball on this. Sorry. We're getting there. There we go. All the CW DC shows I've taken a peek at look like PowerPoint. All the CW DC shows I've taken a peek at look like PowerPoint presentations. My apologies for the reading of that. They look like PowerPoint presentations. I
would elaborate on that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept. Do you mean the animation or like the CW TV shows? Because maybe I got confused with what you said.
Same. Yeah. Let's see. DC shows I've taken a peek at. Look like. Yeah. Nerdzo, can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm not entirely sure I understand what you mean. Uma Kakesh says, the release of this animated Batman kind of feels like a double-edged sword. If this movie succeeds, the live-action Batman would be successful as well, since it inspired the live-action. I don't think one is dependent on the other. I don't think because let's be honest, the Warner Brothers Animation Studios department does not create blockbuster entertainment. They deliver blockbuster quality entertainment on the whole. Not every one of their movies is a knockout of the park, but they create brilliant storytelling, wonderful movies. But the animation film, I mean, they're not. It's just home video release. They release it on digital. It's released on Blu-ray, DVD, and it doesn't always have such a strong impact cinematically.
I thought the Flashpoint movie was probably, I want to say, the most, and I don't know, I can't really compare them by quality because, like I mentioned before, I haven't watched all the animated films, the DC animated films. I do know that some are better than others. I don't know that The Killing Joke was on that list of better than others.
Yeah.
I think it was more like
the
others.
second half. I will say the first half of that movie was terrible, and I understand their reasoning for like trying to give Batwoman a little bit more of a background and get us to care about the character a little bit more. It didn't work. It straight up did not work. Having her sleep with Batman, and then like this whole weird thing with like her stereotypical gay friend. It just like I understand what they were doing there. It just didn't feel right. It felt like they had the right intentions but the wrong output. The second half of the movie was great. Just start the movie right in the middle. That's all you need.
I'll do that.
Natalie, we're rolling up on an hour 20 for you. I have a feeling that you're going to have to jet out pretty quickly.
Unfortunately, yeah. I'm really excited to be. Thank you for having me again on the show, as always. Thank you guys for your comments. I love the live interaction with it.
Natalie, before you go, where can people find you online, and what projects do you have coming up in the near future?
So the ones I can talk about, you can find the link to those. My Instagram is I have two. I have comic_Connie, and then I also have video fasties. So follow those for the latest updates. I'm excited with some of the stuff that might be coming up. I just can't talk about it yet.
Ooh, excited for stuff coming up. Anyway, Natalie.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say that from here on out. Oh, I'm so excited. I just can't. It could be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's
You
peanut
don't
butter
know.
jelly time.
Yes. Yes.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Jock
Peanut
jam.
butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly. Anyway, guys, Natalie, thanks so much for hanging out with us and giving your insight and thoughts and opinions. And we can't wait to have you back on the show next week.
Until next
All right.
time.
Bye, Natalie. All right, you guys. So Natalie has now left us in, there we go. In the words of Jurassic Park, he left us. He left us. But that's not what I'm going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue on with these comments that you have fired in. Let's see, Mukesh, yeah, here we go. Uma Mukesh, if the animated movie fails, that would affect the outcome of the live action movie as well. No, I disagree. Because like the point that I was making before is that the animated universe films from DC and Warner Brothers are not that impactful. They're not mainstream audiences. Like, I love them because I love them. I'm aware of them. They're on my radar. I really am invested in the DC Warner Brothers animation films. I think for the most part, I think they're wonderful. But the mainstream audience is not even aware that they exist. My fiance lives in the same apartment with me, and I let her be aware of nerd culture, pop culture type stuff. She lets me know about certain pop culture things. Something she is not aware of at all are the animated films. So if it doesn't work, is it going to affect the live action film with Robert Pattinson? Not one iota. Not one iota. Because they're two very different things. Like I said, the mainstream audience is not even going to be aware of the existence of the animated film. So, and it's a very different thing. So no, it's one thing is not going to lead into the next. Nerdzone says, I just realized how big Spider-Man is going to be in the next few years. The Miles Morales game came out recently. We'll be getting Spider-Man 3, Spider-Verse 2, Spider-Man PS4 sequel, Venom 2, and Morbius within 2021 and 2022. Yeah. We're going to be hit over the head. Did you say Venom? Yeah, you said Venom. We're being hit over the head with a lot of Spider-Man stuff right now. What a great time it is to be alive, you guys. What a time to be alive when we get to experience this stuff. We get to share this stuff. Like, I remember, here's a personal story from my life. I was in, I think, second grade. I think I was in second grade. So I must have been, 8 years old? Something like that? 7 years old? Somewhere, let's just say 8. I'm 8 years old, right? I had just started getting into comics. The animated X-Men the X-Men animated series was at the height of its popularity. I was watching it every day right after school. Batman, the animated series, was every day after school. Spider-Man, the animated series, was every day after school. My first comic book I ever read, the first comic book I ever owned was Fantastic Four. The first comic book I ever voluntarily purchased and started reading the story myself was Punisher 2099, which subsequently I got into Punisher. I loved the anti-hero character of Punisher. I loved Punisher. Loved Punisher. In the 80s, we had a Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren. No, keep in mind, this is 1992, you guys. This is early 90s. So my friends like there were kids at school that I was not a very popular one in the school realm. I got picked on a lot, and it was what it was, right? So all these kids knew that I was into comics. They knew that I was into like hardcore in X-Men. X-Men was my number one. Hands down, no contest. I loved X-Men the most out of anything, right? And so these kids started thinking that it would be funny to lie to me and get my hopes up and say, oh, did you hear? They're making a Punisher movie. They're making an X-Men movie. And it was like Christmas. It was like I fell asleep and woke up and it was Christmas Day. I was so elated. I was so excited to find out, oh, they're making an X-Men movie. Now, keep in mind, this was 1992. The X-Men movie that came out in the year 2000 wouldn't happen for another 8 years. It wouldn't even be talked about in Hollywood for another 4 or 5 years, right? It was on nobody's radar. This was not happening, let alone a rumor being spread by 8-year-olds to this 8-year-old. So I was crushed. I was crushed when I found out that they were lying to me, that none of this was real. So yeah, Nerd Zone, when you talk about how huge the Spider-Verse and like all the Spider-Man movies are going to be coming out in the next few years, let's also be honest, like with all the stuff going on between Marvel and Sony, the Spider-Man movies are making so much money, and they're going to become, come on, let's be real. Let's look at the writing on the wall. They are going to be interconnected. They just are. Whether it's going to be Tom Holland moving forward or whether they're going to recast again, these Spider-Man movies will endure the test of time and longevity. They're not going away anytime soon. And yeah, how big is Spider-Man going to be in the next few years? Mammoth. Absolutely mammoth. Uma Makesh says, yes, exactly. Black Widow feels like a drama movie where the lead who has a troubled past and happens to be a superhero. Right? Like, this is the type of storytelling that we need. Like, I really wanted to get on board with Captain Marvel. I really did, but I'm sorry. Captain Marvel is one of my least favorite Marvel movies, MCU movies. It was okay, and that's not to say it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. You can see. First of all, you can see where the seams are. Like, you know, when a tailor puts two pieces of fabric together and you can see where the seam is. If they're a really great tailor, you can't see the seam, also known as seamless, which speaks to the quality of a thing. You could see where the seams were in Captain Marvel. You could see where it was cut apart and broken apart and stitched back together. And had they re-edited the film in a very different fashion, the film could have had a much better dramatic effect. And it didn't, because it didn't feel like it meant anything. Whereas you're right, this Black Widow film, standalone movie, actually feels like it means something. It's about something. It's about familial connections. Yes, it's a superhero movie, and yes, there's going to be fantastical aspects to it, but at its heart, at its core, it's about family. It's about a personal journey. That's what makes for great storytelling. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Uma Makesh says, yes, Minerva and the Ant show. I'm in. I don't know where that ant went. Who knows? Maybe it's inside of my clothing right now, and I may start having ants in my pants pretty soon at some point. Who knows? Minerva's out in the hallway. She's looking at something else. This is the world that I live in, you guys. This is the world that I live in. Uma Makesh says, I think I watched the Space Jam 2 trailer at least 4 times, identifying the cameos and Easter eggs. I'm super hyped for this movie. I hope it doesn't suck. I think we all hope this doesn't suck, Uma. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't the biggest Space Jam fan, the original Space Jam. It's fine. This trailer makes me want to go back and rewatch the original film. I feel like I want to do my homework now. I want to go into and I think that's the genius that is this the new film, Space Jam: A New Legacy, is it doesn't look, based on the trailer, it doesn't look like it relies on the knowledge of the first film. Yes, it's going to be a sequel, but it also looks like it could be kind of a standalone film, much like how Jumanji was. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is its own kind of standalone film, but it also acknowledges the Robin Williams movie. It ties it all together. And there's a lore, there's a myth that unfolds in the middle of the movie with Nick Jonas. And you get to find out that there's more to the story. If you want to find out more, you can. If you just want to keep it as its own standalone, isolated thing, you can do that as well. And I think that's the genius that is this movie, or at least how the trailer presents it, so that it unfolds in a way that you don't have to do your homework. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Nerdzone says, I watched Tom and Jerry the movie on my Sky TV in the UK. Or Sky Cinema, I believe, is where it came out. And I'm glad the movie stopped working while I was watching it. I saw it in theaters. I didn't hate it. Let me go on record in saying it's not the train wreck that I was expecting it to be. Is it a Tom and Jerry movie? No. I mean, it's a Tom and Jerry movie because it's literally in the title. But is it the spirit of what Tom and Jerry is? No. All the best gags and all the best jokes were in the trailer. So I knew what they were going into it. I was surprised. I had one laugh. One actual burst out laughing moment in the movie, and that was the Droopy cameo. If you haven't seen it, that's all the more I'm going to say about it. But when Droopy popped it, and it's literally a blink and you miss it cameo. I think he's on screen for less than 3 seconds, and that might be generous. 3 seconds might be generous. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was about 3 seconds. Blink and you miss it. It was a great cameo. I loved it. I laughed out loud wholeheartedly. And when a 3-second cameo was the biggest laugh in the movie, oof. Ooh, that's bad. Ooh, that's bad. Yeah, it's not a train wreck. It's a fine movie for families to go see together. It's just a fine movie to put on and let your kids kind of zone out. Like let them be entertained for a couple hours while you go do the laundry or whatever. Like, it's fine. But it could have been so much. I came out of that movie and I started rewriting it in my brain. Admittedly, it doesn't have a bad premise. There's a mouse in a hotel. There's a big wedding on the horizon. That there's a big stakes wedding, and you hire a cat to rid the mouse of the hotel. That's not a bad premise. That's actually a decent setup for a story. The execution was just terrible. Like, why did Chloe Grace Moretz... Like, we didn't need to know her backstory. We didn't need to know that she was a con artist and that she conned her way into this hotel. That took up way too much time that didn't mean anything, right? Of course, like, she learned her lesson at the end. But again, what are the consequences? She lied and cheated her way into the job position. She was scolded. She learned her lesson. And then... no consequences happened. Oh, well, you learned your lesson, so you can keep your job. Hey, thanks so much for helping out. Yay, you saved the day, right? That was terrible. I hated that. I'm spitting all over everywhere just out of my excitement. Where'd we go? Uma Makash says, I hope Shazam 2 does a fight sequence inside a Comic-Con. Sounds perfect to me. Yes, Shazam, that would work perfectly. That whole concept would work perfectly. I think that would be wonderful. That would be great. Nerdzone says, by the way, can't wait for Pedro Pascal as Joel. Last of Us made me cry a lot. Yeah, again, not being a gamer, I did Minerva's scratching on her scratching post, so if you hear that crackling sound, that's what she's doing. Yeah, I never played Last of Us. I never watched the cutscenes on YouTube. I guess I could. I just don't feel like investing the time. What is it, like a 4-hour movie essentially? I don't feel like investing the time to watch the cutscenes from Last of Us, but I hear it's great. I hear it's absolutely one of the best video game stories of all time. So yeah, I would be very much interested in watching this movie. And with Pedro Pascal attached, yup, he's phenomenal. Oh, I love that guy. Nerdzone, The Last of Us is storytelling at its best. Part 2 was meh, but it's an emotional roller coaster. I've heard mixed reviews that Part 2 is better than the first. Then I've also heard that Part 1 was better than Part 2. But I feel like that's The same with a lot of things, right? Deadpool, that was the way for me. A lot of people prefer Deadpool 1 over Deadpool 2. I prefer Deadpool 2 over Deadpool 1, but that's just me. So I think a lot of it has personal taste in there. But yeah, the emotion, and again, that's what I've been told, is that like you have this strong emotional connection with the characters throughout like the zombie apocalypse. Sign me up. I want to see that. I want to see what you're doing. Uma Makesh says, about the video game adaptation curse, I really hope Mortal Kombat breaks that chain. I feel like there have been a few, like Tomb Raider, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the most recent one with Alicia Vikander. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I kind of want to go back and rewatch it. I really enjoyed it when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since, but I really liked it. I thought they kind of knocked it out. But there are a few things I was like, meh, okay, we could have done without this. But I really liked what they did with it. But yeah, same thing with Mortal Kombat. Like, that trailer looks fire, you guys. That looks so good. Oh, I can't wait for it. Like, I seriously can't wait for it. And I never in a million years would have thought those words would have come out of my mouth regarding to Mortal Kombat. Nerdzone says, PowerPoint means CGI. Right. So, okay. So going back to your previous comment about the CW DC television shows, they look PowerPoint, they look CGI. Okay, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is production value. I mean, the CW doesn't have the budget that the film division does. So, of course, it's going to look a little lesser than. Kim and I watched the first episode of the Superman and Lois and Superman, whatever it is, the new one out on CW right now, and it was pretty good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. They definitely stepped up their game in terms of production value. But yeah, I can kind of see what you're talking about with CGI. Nerdzone says, my comic memories are when, because of me being in a wheelchair with CP, I went to the hospital a lot, and after every appointment, I went to my big comic shop. In my first comic, I was 4, and I got my comic book Avengers versus X-Men. Ooh, AVX, man. There's a story for you. I thought how cool it was to have all these fictional characters made me want to do something with my life and made me happy. That, you know what? Was that your first comic book? I was 4. I got my comic being Avengers. Went to the hospital. Got all that. Sorry, I'm just rereading just to make sure I understand this correctly. CP, I assume that's cerebral palsy. Went to the hospital a lot after every appointment when I got to the big comic shop. Yeah, my first comic, AVX. AVX as your first comic? Wow. So Natalie, guest on the show today, she just texted me and she said no with a frowny face. I don't know what that's about. I'll look into that later. But yeah, dude, AVX as your first comic? Wow. Like, what a journey. What an experience. Like, how cool is that, man? I'm so glad you had that opportunity. I'm so glad that you had that experience, because that is, if you're not familiar with AVX, AVX is on the same, or Avengers versus X-Men. That is on the same level as, if you've seen the movie Captain America Civil War, which is based on the comic Civil War, that, you know, it draws a line down the sand. And where Civil War had, what, like 20 characters in it? 25 characters, something like that. In the comic, you had hundreds. You had hundreds of characters. So, like, the movie adaptation was brilliant. Like, it was as good as it could have been. Yeah, but AVX, man. So Avengers versus X-Men is the basic story is you have, oh man, it goes all the way back to the House of M, right? So in House of M, Wanda Maximoff has this experience where she has this mental breakdown and she utters the words "no more mutants," and then no more mutants. Like 95% of the mutant population is wiped out like the blip, essentially, they're just gone. People lose their powers. People cease to exist. And then no mutants are born for the next 8 years. So for 8 years, there's no new mutants. They're just the old relics, like Wolverine and Cyclops. There's a handful of mutants that still exist, but there are no new mutants being born, right? And so, was it Rachel Summers who ends up being Hope? I think that's who it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. She is like the first mutant to be born since Wanda Maximoff said no more mutants. So she's the first mutant to be born, and everyone's like, which is why she's named Hope, right? Or maybe it's Hope Summers. Maybe it's not Rachel Summers. It's Hope. Anyway, the Phoenix Force comes from outer space. They're like, oh, there's a new mutant that has come alive. I'm going to come and invest my Phoenix powers into this person. And so, like, the Avengers are like, no, this is not a good thing. We cannot have the Phoenix Force back on Earth. And the X-Men are like, we got this. We'll take care of it. We're good. We're fine the way that we are. Don't you dare. You Avengers, you stay right where you are. And it's interesting because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nerd Zone, but I think Beast and Wolverine jumped onto the Avengers team because, they are Avengers. And so they were split. Like, yeah, they're X-Men, but they're also Avengers. So when you have this Phoenix Force and the X-Men are fighting to keep the Phoenix Force, and the Avengers are saying, no, we need to get rid of the Phoenix Force. We need to kill Hope. It's an epic story. It's an epic story. I loved it. It was a little divisive. I mean, audiences received it a little mixed, but man, I loved it. Oh man, I loved it so much. New comments from Elevators Not Worthy. Hello. Well, hello, Elevators Not Worthy. Thanks for joining. He says, I assume you're he, based on your profile picture. Elevators Not Worthy says, I just got off work. What are we talking about? You jumped in at a pretty good time. We're starting to wrap things up a little bit, but I'll give you a recap. Elevators Not Worthy. We talked about the new Cruella trailer that dropped a few hours ago. We talked about the Batman. Today was just a trailers day that we talked about. Batman: The Long Halloween has a new animated trailer. When I say an animated trailer, it's an animated movie by DC Animation Studios, right? So they're adapting the story of The Long Halloween, written by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, into an animated movie, and it looks pretty good. Looks pretty awesome. I would have liked a little bit more from it, but okay, whatever. We talked about the Black Widow trailer that dropped over the weekend. Same thing with Space Jam: A New Legacy and the new Loki trailer, all that dropped over the weekend. I, across the board, loved all of these trailers. Like one a little bit more than the next. Loki, the Loki trailer, phenomenal, blew me away. Like, got me more excited. That trailer got me more excited for the Loki series than I think any of the WandaVision trailers got me excited. And I was fully on board with WandaVision. Loved it. Had my issues with the final episode. But across the board, like, I loved WandaVision. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's fine. I don't have any problems with it. It's just a straight story being told from start to finish. There's no intrigue. And I think that's the part where the Loki trailer gets me the most excited, is that this trailer looks like it has so much intrigue in it. Oh man, I can't wait. Elevators Not Worthy. I absolutely loved the Loki trailer, but it looks more confusing than WandaVision. I hope so. and I don't say that facetiously. Like, in some ways, yeah, I kind of hope it is a little bit more confusing because it means there's more to unpack there, right? When I hear stories of people who went into WandaVision thinking every episode was just going to be a different decade of a sitcom, and that's all they thought it was going to be, I'm sitting here thinking, like, guys, have you never seen a Marvel movie? Have you never seen a Marvel movie? We know how this works, you guys. Like, WandaVision is not just going to be one episode in the 50s, one episode in the 60s, one episode in the 70s, one episode in the 80s. And while, yes, we had a lot of that, we also knew that, like, at least I feel like we should have known. If you didn't know that, how did you not realize that there was going to be more to this story? It's a bigger story than just, here's a whole bunch of individual episodes that mimic sitcoms throughout the decades. If that's all you thought it was going to be, what planet are you living on? I mean, come on, like, wake up, people. Yeah, so I think that is what I'm really excited for with the Loki trailer, is that it looks like this show is going to be so confusing that this is the kind of show that we're going to have to stop and rewatch multiple times just to make sure that we understand it, especially after the last episode comes out. Just like with WandaVision, a lot of us waited until the last episode to come out to go back and rewatch the series from the beginning. And I loved WandaVision. It looks so good, and I'm enjoying Falcon and Winter Soldier. That looks fun. That looks great. It's good. I'm enjoying the ride, but I'm not hooked. I'm not hooked to Falcon and Winter Soldier the same way that I was hooked to WandaVision. Every week, Kim and I were like, oh, WandaVision. Oh, WandaVision on Friday. Oh, yay. Sorry, I'm continuing to spit all over my desk out of how excited I am. Yeah, we were excited every single Friday. Oh, yay, we get to watch more WandaVision. And I think that's how it's going to be with Loki. It looks like there's so much intrigue and mind-bendy, like, time stuff. And, like, with this trailer, we get more of an idea as to what is the story of the Loki series. What's the story going to be? How is this going to work? It just looks fun. It looks fun and interesting and engaging. Yeah. So essentially, Elevator's Not Worthy. That's everything that you missed today. You're jumping in right at the end of the show. We're getting ready to wrap up. So unless there's anything else that you specifically want to talk about, anything you want to address, whether it's about Black Widow or Space Jam, I love the Space Jam trailer. Space Jam trailer looked phenomenal. And I'm not even that huge of a Space Jam fan of the original. Batman The Long Halloween looks good. I would have liked a little bit more from the story featured in the trailer to kind of let us know, like, a little bit more. Is this movie going to take place over the course of 1 year like the comic does? Or is it are they going to condense the story a little bit? Yeah, that I don't know. The Cruella trailer that dropped today, way impressed by. I was super impressed by this trailer. It gives us more clear of an idea that this is not just this is a misunderstood character. This you thought you knew was it Maleficent? You thought you knew Maleficent. She's not that evil after all. But this trailer of Cruella really seems to double down on the idea that no, Cruella is a villain. Her last name literally is Devil. Think about that for a second. Devil. Like, that's her last name. So, yeah, it really seems to be promoting that a little bit more. I'm really excited for it. I'm really looking forward to this Cruella trailer. Or to the movie, rather. But yeah, and the same thing with Black Widow. Like, it just, every trailer just gets better. It's a story about family. It's a story with heart. It's a story about, being torn apart and coming back together. And, I mean, it's a superhero comic book movie, so there's going to be fantastical elements, but it really looks grounded in that type of storytelling. Anyway, Elevator's Not Worthy, thank you so much for joining. Sorry that you jumped in at the end of the show, but you guys, this show will be back next week. We are going to do, so every Wednesday we're doing the live show, live portions of the show where you get to jump in and give us your 2 cents and your comments and your thoughts about this and that and the other. I'm going to do my best to try and pre-record a whole bunch of videos so that we're putting out new videos every day, hopefully every day. This flight attendant job, man, I've had this flight attendant job for 14 years. And for the most part, I've been able to, figure out my schedule and get things that I want to do to kind of work around a little bit here and there. And oof, the past week has just kicked my butt. This past week has kicked my butt. It's hard to keep on task, especially like trying to do YouTube full time. There's a lot of moving parts. So you guys, I'm investing more time into this. So hopefully moving forward, we'll have more content, more videos for you. Please don't go anywhere. Please, hang out with us and continue to be part of the community and reach out to your friends. If there's anybody that you think that would benefit from this kind of content, anyone that loves talking about movies and television shows the way that we do and just breaking stuff down and analyzing this and that and the other, let them be part of the Gotta Love Them Movies community. Reach out and say, hey, this might be something that you're interested in. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Let's just jump into the comments, make sure we haven't missed anything. Thanks so much for being a part of the conversation and giving us stuff to talk about. I genuinely appreciate it. And I love doing this kind of stuff. I love doing this kind of stuff. So, if you do too, stick around. There's more stuff coming. Every Wednesday, we're doing the live show. Like I said, I'm going to try to have pre-recorded material coming out every day of the week. Fingers crossed, man. I'm trying to do what we can. Anyway, you guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like this video. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that, my friends, is exactly what Loki would want you to do in the new Loki series. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness into the world, please, I implore you, take that opportunity. As always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I'll see you guys, hopefully, tomorrow. And next week!